So 9 to 5 is a short film that is based around mental health and its struggles and showcases two individuals trapped in their 9 to 5. Just for the example of having a job that, a lot of people might not be, they have a job and they are not comfortable. They're not comfortable with what they're doing. They want to do something completely different with their life and, they're trapped by this 9 to 5. They're trapped day to day going to some place that they're not happy. My name is Daniel Idol. I'm a young photographer, videographer based here in Guyana. I've actually been doing photography for over 6 or 7 years now. What led me into photography? When I was younger, I was in a program. It took us to different places to see what life is for a lot of other youths. They took us to the interior. They took us to camping trips, and a lot of the persons that were there, were just like me. Didn't have anything going for them. They're just young and lost and, just confused. On these trips, had a lot of older persons, and they were documenting everything. They had cameras, they had phones. I didn't have a phone then. And I was just intrigued in cameras and the gear, and they basically just opened my eyes to what could be a possibility for me. Me just being interested in cameras, it made me even get my first camera. So what inspired me to create this short film? This came from a lot of personal experiences, with just not being happy and just wanting to do more with my time. The entire visual flow of this film, it came from a dream. I didn't understand it. It didn't even have a conclusion in the dream, and with the drive that I had to just understand the dream, I said to myself, hey, I should just shoot this. I should make this a reality, and I could actually even look back at it and even derive my own understanding from it, and that's exactly what I did. So the connection with water, as it relates to me using visuals with water in the storyboard before I even shot anything, came from, that overwhelming feeling of just everything. It feels like you're drowning, and I use the water as a metaphor in the beginning to just depict the fact that, they're drowning. And not just that, but I realized by using African visuals, water is very strong and it has a lot of meaning. And even for the two figures that we had present in the water, it had a lot of ancestral meaning. This was my first time actually doing something of this scale. And I went into it with a lot of enthusiasm, and I didn't realize how hard it is to make people just link up and be in one spot. All of we working, all of us have our own lives, and that was one of the most difficult things, to actually get everybody together. The most important thing that I learned while working on this film is to be a bit more intentional. This is my first time approaching something like this, and for the next time I do something, I'm gonna be a bit more intentional with everything, every angle, every shot, every movement. I could not have done this by myself. So the persons that were a part of this film, Jamie Norville, Akeem Powers, 2J Macy, Ariette, the four models, Isaiah, Alyssa, Tiara, and Emmanuel. The four main actors, what drove me to select them? Well, for Tiara and Emmanuel, I actually worked with them before, and it was a no-brainer. For the look that we wanted, Emmanuel, he's from Africa, man. He was born in Nigeria, and yeah, man, he fit the role perfectly. So the role that Emmanuel played was a role of just a normal human being, man. Just a normal guy that, going through the storms of life, and well, his character portrayed him to be one that doesn't have a lot, doesn't have a lot, and you could tell that he wants more, and you could tell that he isn't happy with the position that he's in life, and that's the character that he played. So Tiara's role, same thing with Emmanuel, her role is filled with a lot of frustration, not happy where she is, and the only difference with her role is that she comes from a whole different background in life, She comes from a bit of a middle-class society, and that's how we portrayed it, that she has a bit more than Emmanuel, but they still express that frustration of being unhappy and being stressed and being stuck. So the roles of the other two models, which we call them model 3 and 4 in the storyboard, they're basically the embodiment of all of that expression and that feeling of being, confined. That's what initially it was to be. But as the film progressed and we used their visuals and saw how everything played out, they're basically those ancestors that guided them and to help them to be liberated. So what I am hoping for this film to accomplish, or even to, for the audience to understand, is the fact that, we can liberate ourselves. Yeah, we could be stuck. Yeah, we can be confined. Yes, we could be in that box, but we can come out to the box. We can come out to the box. It starts with our mental, it really starts with our mental. And a lot of times, a lot of us become defeated. I feel like there's no escape, and I'm really trying to show everybody that, hey, bro, you could come out of this, you can come out of this. You could find your way, no matter how much you may think is the end, is not really the end.
Mental health is one of the most important things and the thing that people take for granted. I think like when you are in a certain headspace, literally anything is possible.
To advocate for mental health, but we need more action to the advocacy. We need more action from the government, even more action from you as an individual. So get your mental health handle culture.
I don't think it's being taken serious within our country. There are some people that definitely try to push and focus on addressing that issue, but I think with our older generation, they don't take it as serious.
Depression is a big man, and many times I just wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, come back, I got work." I think it's okay, like I'm just get over it. Tonight, your whole body and mind instead of just that training.
I think before people would look at mental health as an excuse for not wanting to do certain things, or you're just lazy. So when you say you're not having a good day or you're struggling mentally, people may feel like you're lazy. Also, some people may think you're mad. They'll think that, okay, you're going crazy or you're losing your mind. That is also an effect of having a long period of bad mental health for a long time. So that could result in that. But I feel most people don't really understand what it is and how it should be dealt with. So back then, people just think, oh, this person making excuses.
I say this because I know that at some point, almost everybody faces someone of mental illness. It might not be extreme to the extent that would be like a suicide, but we do go through some bit of it every day.
The first step you need to take in bettering your mental health is being able to determine that you have a problem.
Perspective is a thing that is extremely important when you're battling with mental health. So I feel like once you try your best to get that self-awareness necessary to shift your perspective, that's like the first step you can take in bettering your mental standing.
Experiences and the things that we go through knows us. And sometimes we can get lost in our experiences and what's happening around us, so that we forget who we are.
I don't think everybody take it serious, because many times there's people who would go to work smiling, but deep down inside, I could put myself in a position because deep down inside, you want to cry, you want to scream.
Going from a 9 to a 5 because you mean majority of your day. By the time the end of the day, you're tired, you don't know. Just trying to survive. You're just trying to survive. And with this economy, everybody just trying to survive from one check to the next. You know, like they say, you got to work 2 jobs, and that itself is another 9 to 5. Like the song said, 9 to 5. I've been working all day to survive.
I feel like the main thing that you would need to help you out in these situations would be self-awareness. Because obviously, like these things are mental illnesses like pharma and whatnot, we're not even bringing about that. Not to break it down to the biological aspect of it, but once you understand that certain things make you feel a certain way, or you are in a certain mindset, once you keep doing things the same way, you're going to stay right where you are. So obviously, like if you're moving through life and nothing isn't working, obviously something would be wrong with your approach.
You just have to be willing to have that hard conversation with someone. it's not a one and done process. It will take time, but once you're willing to commit and ensure that you want the best for yourself, that's the best way to move forward.
Just so many people are very, stuck in their own head, like they're the one causing their own problems, basically. So nobody can do it for you. Nobody, no matter how somebody loves you so much and wants to say all the right things to get you out of whatever you're saying, you have to do it for yourself. You have to decide, okay, enough of this. I'm better than this. I can overcome this. I need to move forward. It's something that you need to take charge for yourself and come out of. Nobody else can do it for you. So self-liberation is very important, and finding that identity that, okay, I am bigger than this and this is who I am.
It's okay to sit down and just don't know nothing, just for 1 minute, and then get up and fix what you're doing. And keep going. Life is about struggles, but it's how you overcome the struggles. That struggles ain't going away. Even if you get a new struggle will come tomorrow. So focus on you and your mental health and your well-being. And sometimes just breathe. And that's it.
Once you put in that work to make yourself better, or you deal with things or situations in a certain way, it could be healing for you, could be empowering for you, or it could ruin your life. It's all based on how you as a person respond to what's going on.
9 to 5 feels like pressure already, and we're not necessarily advocating for us to go through this struggle life that some people find 9 to 5 to be.
This film, basically, it deals with that, the stress that it comes to work and 9 to 5, and how sometimes it sucks which rob you of your parts of your mental health.
We're seeing two perspectives, one of a young man and one of a young lady, and they both have very different lives, but they struggle with the same similar issue, which is their mental health. So mental health is not something that affects just one person. So you could be doing okay, you could be living life, you could be having everything, but you could still struggle with mental health challenges.
At times, we've got to stop waiting on people to save us and realize that we have the power within ourselves to pull ourselves out of whatever situation that we're in. Or we don't embrace that thing that will come in, but instead we try to conform to what the world wants us to be.
I don't think you ever get to this perfect place. Maybe you do, but it gets easier when you are aware of what is causing those episodes or causing those things to happen in your life. So when you're aware of the triggers, your stressors, you should find ways to remedy it.
First, figure out why you struggle, what exactly is making you struggle, and pause for a minute and see how you can solve. Just pause for a minute and do one thing at a time.
This a scripture that I enjoy that says, joy comes in the morning. And I truly live and believe that. And I might have a hard day today, but there's nothing stopping tomorrow.